All right, so we are going to explore the basic structure of the CPT 2024 codebook. I'm going to describe the three different categories of CPT codes, the 6 different sections of the CPT codebook, and then again, kind of how to maneuver very quickly through this book. So, welcome to your CPT 2024. First thing you're going to notice is when you open the front cover, so pay attention to everything, all of this formatting, right? Every little thing means something. So at the inside of the front cover, you have kind of a quick reference list. Most of these are modifiers, but you do up here also have a quick reference of all of the different symbols that are listed within the main section of codes throughout the book. So for example, this very top one right here is a triangle. So if you see a triangle next to a code, that means it's a revised code. There's a bullet point. If you see a bullet point next to a code in the CPT codebook, then that means it's a new code, etc. The rest of what we have here is modifiers. So you have the section of just regular modifiers, CPT code modifiers from 22 all the way to 99. These are also listed in Appendix A at the end of the book, which I'll show you here in a second. You've got Category 2 modifiers, anesthesia physical status modifiers, and then modifiers approved for hospital use, hospital outpatient use, like ASC modifiers, ambulatory surgical center modifiers. And then we have some level 2 HCPCS national modifiers. This is not a complete list. The whole complete list of HCPCS modifiers is going to be in the HCPCS book, but some of these are reprinted for us here just for quick reference. Another thing you're going to see when you first get your CPT code book, right? This is a 2024 code book, and I've been using it all year long. But when you first get your code book, this will be full of tabs. So I have, as an example, I have a 2025 code book right here, and you can see it is full of tabs because I have not tabbed my book yet. I will talk about tabs in a separate video and kind of show you where I place all of my tabs. But you can see that I have my whole book tabbed, and I have like an E&M tab, I have an anesthesia tab, so that these are quick references so that you can get to that section in the book more quickly. Next, okay, so flipping the page, this is the first actual page in the book. This is the place of service codes for professional claims. It is double-sided, and so what you'll see here, what these are called are place of service called. They're also, you can call them POS codes. Usually they're abbreviated as POS codes, place of service. And it's kind of like coding, not coding, right? It is kind of a billing thing. The list of place of service codes is published by CMS, which is Medicare, every year. They reprint it at the beginning of the CPT code book. Again, just for quick reference, you're not going to find this in any other code book. It's just right here, again, for reference. So essentially what you're looking at is, I'm going to look at this one for an example. 11 is office. So what this code does, this POS code 11, goes on the claim form, and when you send a claim for a service that is performed in the office, you use POS code 11, place of service code 11, and that tells the payer that the service was performed in the office setting, right? So as far as coding goes, you really just have to make sure it matches. So if you're performing an office visit, then you're going to, and that was actually performed in the office, you're going to want to make sure you have the correct place of service code. For example, as in another example, if it's a hospital code that's performed in like the inpatient hospital, if it's a surgical procedure or maybe a newborn baby delivery, then that is performed in the hospital. That code, that CPT code, is going to be one that's indicated as having to have been performed in the inpatient hospital setting. So you have to make sure, right? We have to make sure that that place of service code corresponds to the CPT code that we are sending on that claim. So typically the place of service is connected to the billing location, which is not something that coders really kind of mess with. Since COVID and since telehealth has kind of been a thing, we have some new telehealth codes. We have place of service 10, which is telehealth provided in patient's home. We have place of service 02, which is telehealth provided in other than patient's home. So these are just kind of some examples of when a coder might have to look at that documentation and potentially change that place of service code. So it's kind of a billing thing, kind of a coding thing, but it's definitely something that coders should be aware of. Next, so here's your CPT code book. This is just the title page. I'm going to do some flipping here about the CPT. You got your table of contents. And I'm going to stop right here at the introduction. So if you are first starting out with this book, you don't know anything about this book, I would definitely suggest you start off in the introduction. The page is XIV, so it's page 14. Excuse me. Skim through this. I wouldn't say you have to like read through it with a fine-tooth comb, but yes, definitely skim through it. It's got instructions for use of the CPT code book. Information on format, information on category 1, category 2, and category 3 codes, which we're going to talk about here in a second. Audio visual stuff. Let's see, unlisted procedures. So again, it's just got a lot of really good information, just kind of basic information on how to use the code set and how to use the book. Other very important information here is it's going to have descriptions of code symbols. We saw those code symbols on the inside of the front cover right here. But here we have descriptions of what those code symbols mean. So this is a good place to kind of refer back to if you forget what those code symbols mean. Okay, so I'm going to keep flipping. Here we have our illustrated anatomical and procedural review. Make sure that you brush up. So this is a lot of medical terminology stuff. It makes sure that before you start or when you start CPT coding, you really brush up on your medical terminology. If you don't know the difference between an ostomy and an ectomy, those are going to be, you're going to really have to brush up on that because those are essential. What is this? Procedural illustrations, a list of those. You got your body planes. These are going to be more important when it comes to radiology and imaging services. Then we have our E&M tables. These aren't really going to help us much until after we learn E&M coding. Okay, so now let's talk about, before I get into these big sections, we're going to talk about the 3 categories of codes, right? Category 1 codes are CPT codes, what we typically think of as CPT codes in terms of ones that we can select and bill for on claims, right? So I'm going back to page, this is page 16 in the introduction. Basically a category 1 code, which makes up the vast majority of this book. Those, again, are CPT codes that we use every day for billing, right? And we're looking at those. There are 6 sections in that category 1 section we're going to look at. We're also going to look at category 2 and category 3 codes. Category 2 codes are used for performance management, performance measurement, and so we'll look at those. So they are CPT codes. They're all a little bit different. So category 2 codes end with a letter F, and those again are used for performance measurement, and we'll look at that. Category 3 codes all end with the letter T, and those are used for new and emerging technologies, essentially non-FDA approved procedures, services, technologies. They're not proven to be effective, but they're kind of like new and emerging technologies, right? So this is kind of a pathway for new codes to get built via category 3s. Okay, so the first section we're going to look at here is category 1 codes. Category 1 codes are made up of 6 different sections. The first section is your E&M codes. E&M codes are evaluation and management codes. They all start, and if you look at the side edge of this page, it's red, right? It starts on page 1 here. And another thing about the coloring, all of these different colors, all of the colors on the pages, all of the differences in font, all of the differences in headings, those all mean something. So pay attention to all of those differences, because if it's a different color, if it's a different size, if it's a different shape, if it's down here, right, it's meaning something, right? The differences in color, it's not just for pretty, it means something. So this red section is our E&M section. Notice here on the side, it tells us evaluation and management, and those codes start with 9. So numerically, they should go in the back of the book, right? But because E&M codes, evaluation and management codes, are so important, they make up an estimated 80% of all outpatient billing. They print this at the beginning of the book because it's just so important, right? So that's our first section. And another thing you're going to notice about these sections as we go through them is that they're all kind of different, right? E&M codes are office visits. So those are going to be where a patient presents to the clinician, and that clinician is going to evaluate and manage that patient's treatment or condition. Those are in this E&M section, right? The next section is the anesthesia section. This is the blue section. It's on page 63 is where it starts. And notice these ones start with the number 0. So all anesthesia codes start with a 0 here. And again, that's a different section, right? So this is going to be anesthesia procedures. These are not procedures that a surgeon is performing on the patient. These codes identify the anesthesia being performed on a patient who's undergoing a specific surgical procedure, right? So again, it's a different kind of code. It's its own section. It's relatively small. The third section is our surgery section. And the surgery section is pretty big. It starts on page 75 and it ends on page 528. And notice that it has all of these different pretty colors. We got lots of different tabs, all these different subsections within the surgical section. So the surgical section is just that, right? This identifies all the codes within these pages, identifies surgical, typically invasive or at least minimally invasive procedures, surgical procedures performed on the patient. The fourth section we have is radiology. That starts on page 529. These are imaging studies. They are typically non-invasive. They're diagnostic in nature, but we do have some treatment radiology in terms of radiation oncology in one of these sections within this section. The fifth section is pathology and lab. And as you see, as we're going through these different sections, they're all kind of different. Radiology is taking pictures. Then we get to this pathology and laboratory section, which is on page 585, starts on page 585. And this is us performing tests on specimens, right? Testing specimens for certain things. And the sixth section of the CPT codebook is our medicine section. The medicine section is also kind of big. Starts on page 737, goes to page 884. As you can see, I've got lots of tabs here. It's because it's kind of a miscellaneous section of just different procedures that can be performed on the patient. Non-invasive, typically non-invasive. These aren't surgeries, but they're things like maybe breathing treatments, swallowing studies, something like that. Okay, so those are all Category 1 codes. 6 sections of that CPT codebook for Category 1. Here we have Category 2 codes on page 885. These are performance measures. And then Category 3 codes on page 907. Again, Category 3 codes all end with a T, and they are for new and emerging technologies. Okay, so that's the main section of codes within the CPT codebook. You got your 3 categories. Category 1 is your CPT codes. Category 2 are performance measurement. Category 3 are new and emerging technologies. Within Category 1, you've got your 6 sections. You got E&M coding, anesthesia, surgery, radiology, lab and pathology, and then medicine, right? So that's kind of basic structure. Then we have our appendices. Your Appendix A is your modifiers. This one's super duper important. It goes all the way to Appendix T, CPT codes that can be used for telehealth services. And then after that, you have your index. So the index starts on page 1081. And it works essentially like any other index, right? So it's kind of like if you're looking up a recipe in a cookbook, you're going to go to that. If I'm looking for banana bread recipe and I have a big cookbook, I'm going to go to the index. I'm going to look up my recipe for banana bread, and it's going to give me a page number. Then I'm going to refer to that page number wherever it is in the cookbook and make my recipe, right? In the index for the CPT codebook, it works essentially the same, right? But in this case, you're looking for a service, a procedure, a surgical procedure, a study, whatever it is, right? Let's say it's a clotting test, something I just picked up right here. You look it up in the index, it's going to refer you to a code, and then you look up that code and any accompanying guidelines in the main section of codes here. So that's a very short and sweet introduction to our CPT codebook. I will be posting additional videos on all my tabs and more information on the rest of those sections and coding within and guidelines as well.